John Bradshaw had a series of videotapes on the family issues, and one of them, the series, was called Healing the Shame That Binds. And I was watching that at one of the meetings, and he was talking about shame. And I remember when I first heard it thinking, well, that's, at least there's one thing that I don't have is shame. I can be grateful that I don't have any shame. And a couple of days later, I realized, you know, that's that feeling I have felt ever since I was 5 years old. That somehow or another, I'm just no good. I'm worthless. I'm flawed, defective, inferior, you know. It was almost a joyful realization, because I had identified something that I realized was at the core of my personality. It took about 3 years, but at the end of 3 years or so, all the shame, like the anger, had been brought up and let go of. When it was gone, I realized that most of my personality went with it. It was as though I thought I was one person all my life, and then suddenly realized I'm not that person. That person is false. Nirvana means to blow out, to extinguish, and at that point the I that I had assumed myself to be all my life was extinguished. Instead of feeling like a dead man walking along, I felt like a breath, like just air or something. I felt very, very clear and very calm and quiet inside. But there was this question, well, what am I? So then I started looking at the body. It's constantly shedding parts of itself. Skin cells are falling off and hair's falling out, and stuff is leaving all the time, and other stuff is coming in. The cells are constantly being replaced. So this body of 1 trillion cells is actually not the same cells from one year to the next. It's almost like a standing wave in a flow of molecules. As the environment flows through the body, it's structured by DNA to have this shape and to do these things, but it's just a flow. And so I began to identify with the world. I began to identify with the universe, until I realized one day that behind everything, behind the smallest subatomic particle, there is something which is not something. There's something which is, to me, it was nothing, but nothing in the sense of no thing. It was not a thing. There is a substance which is the real substance, but it's not a thing, and it is not. It has none of the boundaries of things. It is not, has none of the limitations of things. It is omnipresent. And at that point, I realized I'm that nothing. At that moment, I was no longer the body either, because the body didn't really exist. All the things of the universe ceased to exist, and it was all just that. It's like coming home, you know. Again, not that I knew it all along. It was a surprise, but at the same time, it was like spreading out into, I am that. So it's like falling into the ground of being, you know, falling into oneself rather than being threatened by something. I had been tricked, in a way. In the beginning, I was looking for one thing, and what I found was something I had not been looking for. And if you had told me that that's what I was going to find, I would not have been interested much in looking, because who wants to look for nothing? In a way, though, I'd been told that. Maharishi talked a lot about omnipresent being as being like the sap behind the appearance of the tree. Suddenly I realized what he was talking about, and that it became not a concept, but the actuality and the fact of things. The I will not accept the idea that it's fake, that it's false, that it does not exist. Everybody experiences it. Well, I experience it. I do things. I think. I walk. I talk. How do I remember something? No clue. No clue. The thought comes, I want to remember something, and it either comes or it doesn't. And usually it does. And I have no idea how it happens. And I don't know how to walk. I really don't know how to do anything. And I think that's the value of this practice of effortlessness in meditation. It begins to dawn on the person that they can't really take credit for anything. Anytime there was an opportunity to take a week or even 3 days off, I would do that. I think that would be the third leg of the stool. 1, meditate every day for 15 minutes or 20 minutes without effort. 2, join some kind of a group that's the purpose of which is to look at the personality and deal with emotional issues. And 3, a couple of times a year, take a week off if you can and go someplace quiet like a retreat facility. You know, all the things that drove me to embark on the path in the first place, the anger and the guilt and the shame and the blame and the feeling unfulfilled and alienated, feeling like I didn't belong on this earth and that the world shouldn't be like it is, and all those kind of things are resolved, and everything is perfect. No, you can't. How could a person ask for more than that?